Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses. As we continue with Part 6, The Night Journey, from the Adepts in the Eastern Esoteric Tradition, by Manly Palmer Hall, Part 4, The Mystics of Islam. The Night Journey. The celebrated night journey to heaven is called the Miraj, which literally means an ascent. It is said to have occurred in the 12th year of the Prophet's mission, about a year before the establishment of the Moslem era. Although the Koran contains no account of this event, it is supported by the 17th Sura, which may be freely translated, "Praise to him who carried his servant by night from the temple of Mecca to the temple of Jerusalem." Muhammad's night journey to heaven. 15th century example in the early writing of a Tartaric tribe. This remarkable manuscript in the Bibliothèque Royale at Paris includes the lives of 72 imamas or miracle-working saints. In the illustration, Muhammad is riding upon Al-Borak and accompanied by the angel Gabriel. From Universal Paleography by M.J.B. Sylvester. On the occasion of the vision, Aisha, who was then married to the Prophet, is quoted as the authority that Muhammad's physical body did not disappear, but that God carried him away by night in the spirit. Most pious Muslims have held the validity of the vision, at least as a mystical experience, and as such it cannot be assailed without directly attacking the integrity of Muhammad. This would appear unreasonable in view of his lifelong reputation for absolute honesty and sincerity. Washington Irving sets forth the essential features of the night journey, although he admits that he has not presented the story in its full amplitude. On a certain night, described as the darkest and the most silent that the world had ever known, Muhammad was roused from his sleep by the angel Gabriel, who brought to the Prophet a strange and wonderful creature, different from any which existed in the natural world. This creature had a human face, the body of a horse, the wings of an eagle, and eyes as radiant as the stars. It was female, and because of its dazzling splendor and incredible speed, it was called Al-Borak, or the lightning. Mounted on Al-Borak, the Prophet was carried over Mount Sinai, on which God spoke to Moses, and also Bethlehem, where Jesus, the son of Mary, was born. Accompanied by Gabriel, they arrived finally at the Holy Temple of Jerusalem. After dismounting from his flying steed, Muhammad entered the temple and found there Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and many more of the prophets. According to a work by Dinet and Sliman ben Ibrahim, Muhammad was met on his arrival at Jerusalem by a man holding forth a cup of wine and a cup of milk. Muhammad chose milk, and Gabriel approved, saying that had he chosen wine, his people would have preferred error to truth. Muhammad joined in prayer with Jesus and the ancient prophets for a considerable time. At the end of their sacred exercises, the sky seemed to open, and a ladder of light was let down from heaven until the lower end of it rested on the stone, which is called the Rock Moriah. Assisted by the angel Gabriel, Muhammad ascended the ladder with strange ease and rapidity. In this vision, the celestial regions were divided into 7 zones, which correspond with the orbits of the 7 planets in the system of astronomy developed by Claudius Ptolemy of Alexandria. When the Prophet arrived at the first heaven, Gabriel knocked at the gate. A voice from within then demanded, "Who is there?" And the angel replied that it was Gabriel and that with him was Muhammad. The guardian of the gate then asked if the Prophet had already received his mission, and when this was answered in the affirmative, he was made welcome and the gate was opened to receive him. The first heaven was of silver, and the stars were suspended from the vault by chains of gold. In each star an angel was placed who acted as sentinel. As Muhammad entered, his forefather Adam appeared as an aged man. The Prophet paid homage to the first mortal, and Adam embraced his descendant. This region was also filled with many kinds of animals. Gabriel explained that these animals were really angels who, having taken on the forms of countless creatures, interceded with God for all the species of animals upon earth. Gabriel and Muhammad then ascended to the second heaven, where they were received by Noah, the patriarch of the deluge, who embraced the Prophet with the greatest of kindness. In each case, the ritual of knocking at the gate and of being questioned was repeated. In the third heaven was seated an angel of immeasurable height, and Gabriel explained that this was Asrael, the angel of death. In the fourth heaven they found the angel of tears, who wept over the sins of the children of men. The fifth heaven was of the finest gold, and here Muhammad was met and embraced by Aaron, and here also dwelt the avenging angel who presided over the element of fire. The sixth heaven was composed of an immense transparent stone resembling a carbuncle. Here was a great angel who was guardian of heaven and earth, and here also was stationed the prophet Moses. Ascending still higher, Muhammad came to the seventh heaven, where he was received by the patriarch Abraham. This wonderful place was formed of the divine light and was of such transcendent glory that the tongue of man cannot describe it. Here there was a sacred house resembling the Kaaba at Mecca, which was suspended directly above the physical building. The order of the patriarchs in this vision is changed in different accounts, and this will be considered in the analysis of the meaning of the night journey. Mosque of Omar in Jerusalem, it stands on the site of Herod's temple. From the seventh heaven, the prophet continued his strange journey, passing through a region of light and another of utter darkness. From this gloom he emerged to find himself in the presence of God, but the face of Allah was covered with 20,000 veils. From the veils, deity put forth his hands, placing one upon the breast and the other upon the shoulder of Muhammad. On this occasion, many doctrines and principles were communicated to the prophet. The nature of the instruction is not recorded, but is said to have been preserved as part of the secret tradition in Islam. Muhammad then descended again by the golden ladder to the temple at Jerusalem, where he found Al-Borak fastened as he had left her, and was then carried back to the place whence he had come. It will be noted that in his summary of the night journey, Washington Irving, for some reason, fails to name the prophets who received Muhammad at certain of the gates. Several lists are available. According to one, for example, Muhammad met the ancient wise men in the following order: Adam, Noah, Aaron, Moses, David, Solomon, Idris, Enoch, Yahya, John the Baptist, and Jesus. In this arrangement, it is implied that the total number of prophets exceeded the number of the heavens. Therefore, two or more must have occupied one sphere. Among other alternative lists found in the early commentaries, the seven heavens were attended by the holy ones in gates of the seven order: Adam, John, and Jesus, Joseph, Enoch, Aaron, Moses, and Abraham. In the significant arrangement which places Jesus at the gate of the seventh heaven, each of the older patriarchs asks Muhammad to intercede for him before the throne of God. But reaching the sphere of Jesus, the situation is reversed, and Muhammad asks the Nazarene to intercede for him. According to Godfrey Higgins, whose learning in comparative religion was prodigious, Muhammad, by asking Jesus to intercede for him at the seventh gate, placed Jesus Christ above himself and indirectly but clearly declared himself a Christian. Higgins writes, "This is in perfect accordance with the Mohammedan doctrine, that through the excessive depravity of man, the mission of Jesus, of love, of peace, of benevolence, having failed a strong one, that of the sword, must follow. Due to the extraordinary nature of the vision, it was only reasonable that the details should be altered by various sects in different times, so as to conform with prevailing attitudes, or serve for the introduction of esoteric and symbolical contemplation." The Sufi Bengali, in summarizing the importance of the night journey to the pious Moslem, states, "This vision was of enormous spiritual significance. The ascent to heaven meant that the prophet's cause was destined to triumph. Secondly, that he would make the highest spiritual progress and would leave all behind in his nearness to God. The seven heavens meant that the path of spiritual journey was to be traversed gradually and step by step." This Sufi, in harmony with the natural inclinations of this highly metaphysical sect, also affirms that the ascent to heaven was definitely a mystical experience, or as he calls it, a mental vision, and he quotes several Muslim authorities to support this conviction. From Irving's account, together with certain additional material, it can be strongly suspected that the night journey involves the ritualism of an esoteric or mystical society. The description of the ornamentations of the seven spheres or levels suggests the decorations of a lodge or sanctuary of initiatory rites. For example, in the first heaven, the stars are suspended from the sky by golden chains. This would scarcely be so specifically noted in a simple vision of the universal mystery, but would be necessary in a physical sanctuary where ritualism was performed. The night journey itself is highly reminiscent of the apocalyptic vision of St. John, the account of the ascent of the Paimanda, and the descent of Ishtar through the 7 gates in the Babylonian legend of Tammuz. There's also a similar description of the wonders accompanying the delivery of the tablets of the law to Moses on the flaming peak of Sinai. A cloud appeared which, opening like a mouth or door, permitted Moses to walk upon the firmament, where he beheld the angels, came into the presence of God, was permitted to behold the 7 heavens and the celestial tabernacle, which was later to hover in the sky above the everlasting house of Solomon the king. It can only be assumed that a common tradition underlies all these accounts, and this tradition provides the basic structure upon which the initiatory pageantries and dramas were constructed. Certainly the mysteries of Mithras, with their journey through the 7 worlds, the rites of Samothrace, and the mortuary rituals of the Egyptians, which included the interrogation of the soul by the guardians of the gates of the underworld, fall in this archetypal concept. As Anubis conducted the souls of Egypt's dead, and Virgil led Dante through the Inferno, there is always a companion or a guide to speak for the candidate until he has received the secret words of the degrees. In the case of Muhammad, Gabriel occupies this place. The night journey, therefore, is a valid landmark of the adept tradition, revealing beyond question that those fashioning the account, whether it was Muhammad himself or his early disciples, were following an established concept and bestowing it as a key to their teachings upon those of the faithful who came after them. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Roses. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.